Hey everyone, it's Jonathan and welcome back to Every Version Ever. Today, Jenna and I are talking about a movie/show recommended by a viewer last year, Ever After High, Way Too Wonderland. This is based on the Ever After High dolls and Netflix animated series following the high school years of a bunch of fairy tale characters and or their descendants. I think it's mostly descendants, not 100% sure. I went into this blind. I was vaguely aware of the dolls, but I didn't know there was a show, let alone a Wonderland-themed spin-off, until it was requested that we do an episode on it. And Jenna had never seen it either, so we both went into this not knowing what to expect. I think Jenna ended up liking it a lot more than I did, but I'm glad I watched it, and it was a lot of fun to talk about this one with Jenna. With this one, I hope the person who requested this isn't going to be too upset, but I was bored with this one.
Oh, I have some thoughts.
I'm not the target demographic. I feel like the target demographic is going to love this thing, but I was just kind of bored. I liked some of the imagination and the way they interpreted characters, but for the most part, the story, I'm struggling to remember what the story is. I'm going to have to go off the outline to remember the whole story.
I remember it. So just to start with, though, so this is my reaction to this when I first started the first episode was very much, it reminded me of Alice's Wonderland Bakery, what I felt like doing that when, metaphorically going into pool when it's cold and you're like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like that. And at first it was very, very much like that for me. I was just like, oh my God, it's so obnoxious and annoying. And then, I don't know, and also, I will say the beginning is quite contrived.
Yeah.
But then you finally get to Wonderland, and I'm like, I'm getting used to it. I'm feeling the water. This is okay. I like it.
Well, that's good.
It's not my favorite pool ever, but I was kind of surprised by how much I ended up liking it. I still have critiques, but I think there's a lot of cool things in this pool that I didn't know about before. So if you found your notes, you could jump into the pool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jump off the diving board with me. That is fine. But no, the beginning was very annoying. Very much young children, fast pace. And, part of me was I remember thinking at the time, oh, is this just kind of annoying to me because I don't have the context of the earlier seasons because I'm just jumping into this?
I didn't feel like I was missing too, I haven't seen the original series or whatever it is. I'm not going to go back and watch the whole thing, but I felt like they did a good enough job. I didn't feel lost while I was watching it. I got the gist of what this was supposed to be.
I mean, it's a pretty basic premise, to be honest, though.
Yeah.
Kids who are descendants of fairy tale characters are at school together. They did it before Disney did it.
I was going to ask, what year was this, and did it come before Disney's Descendants?
I'm pretty sure it did. When I was watching, I was like, oh, this was the OG, wasn't it? Let me look it up.
Because the Way Too Wonderland was 2015, but this had been going on for a little while before that, I believe.
Yeah, it was a successful doll line first. I remember it kind of, but I was way too old for it at that time. Okay, so I'm kind of in the doll scene, but only very specific dolls. I'm not really into fashion dolls, especially fashion dolls. Basically, after Bratz came on the scene and all the dolls started looking at like Bratz, I was kind of like, I don't really like this. It's just not my style.
Obviously, I'm not into all of the many doll lines that are out there, but I was vaguely familiar with these because even though I don't like dolls to play with, I like videos on YouTube where they rip all the hair out and strip the paint off and repaint them into an art doll. I think that's fascinating. And I've seen people do that to Ever After High. I think the most popular one is Monster High.
It's Monster High, yeah.
At least for my algorithm, that's what gets delivered to me the most. But Ever After High sometimes will get that treatment.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with the doll line because of the artists who strip all the paint off, rip out the hair, and make new clothes and faces and wigs for them.
Yeah, I was familiar with it because I'd come across, I had seen these dolls before. But I had come across they had Alice Wonderland characters before.
I didn't realize there was an Alice line. I knew that there was like Cinderella based characters and like
Oh,
the
they have
regular
quite a
fairy
few Alice.
tales. I was
Yeah,
surprised at how many things, like there were so many references in this. That was the thing that, like, even though I was kind of bored with the story, I was interested in all more of the background stuff. Like, because I thought it was kind of imaginative, all the stuff that they brought into this world.
yeah. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it. They do it better than Descendants.
I was wondering, like, I haven't seen Descendants
Yeah.
yet. That's one I keep talking about we should do at some point. But I was wondering how Descendants was going to compare to this.
I will say Descendants is not. There's something about children's cartoons nowadays, I guess, where I'm just an old fuddy duddy. I love children's shows, but I guess maybe now I'm too old for them because now I start watching them and it's just like obnoxious and fast and I'm just
I've
like,
felt like that with some things that I've tried to watch for the
yeah.
podcast too.
But that said, Ever After High, compared to some other shows, is not as obnoxious.
I think if I had to watch, like, of things that we've watched, if I had to watch more of this, I don't think I would mind. I probably would prefer this over Alice's Wonderland Bakery, to be honest, because that one I feel like would get old.
Yeah, I was actually also thinking that. Because at some point I was thinking about my pool metaphor while I was watching it because I was starting to enjoy it more than I had at the beginning. And I was like, but I'm having more fun with this than what Alice's Wonderland Bakery, so already it's winning.
Hmm.
Um, oh, by the way, so the doll started 2013. And then what was this, 2016? This Wonderland series?
I think it was 2015. That's what the page I was on said.
Yeah, I feel like that's when the world is good. And anyway, so I was aware of Ever After High, and I knew they had Alice dolls because I look up Alice stuff on eBay all the time. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't, they're okay. They're not my jam. But it never really registered to me that they made a cartoon, and somehow it was never on my radar. I think maybe like way off my radar, kind of. I was like, I think I did see kind of it had a cartoon, but I didn't really register to me that the Wonderland characters would be in said cartoon.
Hmm.
Um, and to be honest, I don't know if I really care enough to watch the whole thing to see the other Wonderland characters, all the content. I don't care that much to do that still.
Hmm.
So it really would have to be like this whole series thing, practically a movie, to make me watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say it's better done than Descendants, and it's more clever and creative, I think, as well. Because they're not tied down to one specific movie adaptation. As they're tied down to the original stories, and you could kind of do whatever you want with that, right?
Yeah.
So I think just because of that, they had more freedom. And going into how they treat Wonderland, I think I perked up when they got to Wonderland because it started to feel more creative. And some of the things I was kind of like, yeah, cool, whatever. Because I feel like you kind of have that base layer of fun and whimsy when you get to Wonderland and children's show, and it's just like, yeah, yeah. And then I don't remember what turned the tide for me, where I was like, actually, this is quite clever. But I think, to be honest, like the time when and this is later in the show, but the time when Courtly Jester said something about becoming a Joker could become a queen, and I was like, damn, this is good. I was like, I never thought of that. Yeah. But that said, it is quite contrived in some areas. And I feel like they even do some cop outs, which really annoyed me. Like, I really hate the narrator stuff, especially at the beginning.
I kind of thought that was clever, having the
Really?
which character was it the Hatter
When
character?
Maddie or whatever Maddie talks to the narrator, it's like,
I kind of liked that.
I felt like that was so contrived. Just like, the Queen of Hearts is in trouble. It's like, okay, so without the narrator, the story would never have happened, is what you're telling me.
I probably, but like at the beginning, like it felt to me, the whole beginning felt kind of contrived, and I was just kind of bored. Like like it made me laugh, but also I thought it was dumb that they're in the Castleteria, which is like a cafeteria, and they call it the Castleteria. And so like I'm already just kind of almost checked out, and then the Mad Hatter character starts talking to the narrator. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting, breaking the fourth wall.
I guess I thought it was really contrived, but this was that. that was the old Jenna who wasn't used to the pool yet. So maybe that was just how I felt at the time. But no, it was pretty. It's also obviously very very married to the idea of high schools, which
Yes,
yeah,
extremely to the point where I was kind of annoyed by how high school focused it was.
yeah. I also thought they were kind of missing a trick by ignoring like the whole lessons they lesson from day to day. It's like, oh, one they only have school Wonderland for one day. It doesn't do the, a lot of hours one day, less hours the next day, less hour.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, I guess they had to do this for the plot. They had to graduate. I don't know. So there were a few times where I was like, this is silly or this is stupid. But for the most part, I thought it was really, really creative. I will say I kind of rolled my eyes at first when Courtly Jester came up because I've seen attempts to bring a Joker character into Wonderland before, and it's just kind of like never really good.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like later I was like, damn, they actually use a Joker character to like tell a story, I guess, to like is a Joker can become a queen. So it's to actually use that to become a part of the story where she's trying to become the Queen of Hearts. I was like, good job. You actually justified having the Joker. Wonderful. Like, it's not just a let's bring in a Joker. Like actually used it. Good for them. I also thought partly Jester was like really crazy in an unhinged way, which is kind of fun for villains. Did her motivations make a lot of sense? I didn't really care, to be honest. I was just like, I'm just having fun here. Like I try to
At
think
a
of
certain point, I stopped trying to analyze people's motivations. I just went with
yeah,
it because there was no point in trying to analyze it too deeply because at the end of the day, this is basically a glorified doll commercial. So
yeah, pretty much.
the thing that I thought was clever was how many characters they were trying to reference. Like to the point where I never caught them all. There's no way I caught them all because there's an ever after high wiki. So like I scrolled down to the bottom of the page and they've got 65 characters listed
Oh wow.
as references to both Alice in Wonderland and the different fairy tales. Like I caught some of them, but I did not catch them all. There's way too many. But the fact that they went and put enough thought in there to get 65 unique characters out of all these different fairy tales and Alice in Wonderland characters, I appreciated that.
Yeah, I appreciated the attention to detail. At first, I really appreciated the White Knight character, but I was hoping they'd go somewhere with it, and they didn't. I think that's one of my few disappointments. I was hoping it would be like a Lewis Carroll nod. Um,
Who was that character? I don't even remember. What was her name?
it's like I think it's Cinderella's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Was it Darling?
I didn't even realize until I got to the wiki page that the one character was like the daughter or the son of Alice, I
Oh,
think.
Alistar. Yeah,
Alistair
he gets left
Wonderland.
out weirdly. That was kind of weird. Oh, it was also weird that the White Rabbit's daughter was left behind.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go somewhere with that, and they kind of didn't. I mean, she turned up later, but she really wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that two Wonderland characters got left behind.
Yeah.
To be honest, the twist with Darling wasn't worth her coming at all. And I guess Raven had to be there.
Who was that supposed to be?
That was the Evil Queen's daughter from like Snow White.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's who the shadowy character was. She was from Snow White, like the person in the mirror.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the Evil Queen.
Okay.
Who was the fairest of them all.
Like for some reason, for most of it, I was thinking it was the Queen of Hearts, but then the Queen of Hearts didn't look anything like that, so I was confused.
Oh yeah, the Queen of Hearts is under the curse. Were you paying attention during the whole exposition in the first episode? It was really boring.
I'm gonna be
Didn't think
honest,
about
I
that.
fell asleep halfway through this. I'm not kidding. I had to wake up and go back and rewind.
Oh, well, whoever suggested this, I enjoyed it. Um,
I was really tired. Like I'm getting over a cold, and I had been doing a whole bunch of stuff. I guess that's not that great of an excuse, but I was really tired when I watched it.
no, I feel like if that's your reaction to it, it's still valid in a way. Because I will say, I think the first episode was the worst one of them all. And I think, and a big part of that too was like the background behind the Wonderland characters being there was really, really dumb.
I didn't really understand what the point of the curse was that trapped them in the other realm or wherever they were, the high school realm.
Okay, so this is what I picked up from it. Maybe someone else will be like, "You're wrong, Jenna," but this is what I picked up. Because keep in mind, this is when I was still like, it's cold in the pool. It was when, okay, so if I understand correctly, Raven's mom, the evil queen from Snow White, wanted to take over like all the fairy tale realms. Wonderland is separate from Ever After, so it's its own place.
Is Ever After the high school, or is this someone's world?
Ever After is a realm, apparently, in this fairy tale world. I guess Ever After, I don't know if, keep in mind, I have no context of the previous
Yeah,
story
yeah.
or seasons. But from what I can understand, it's like oh, you haven't seen Descendants. It's like the Oridon of Descendants. To be honest, I'm kind of feeling like, keep this in mind when we do watch Descendants 3. I kind of think there's a lot of similarities.
Okay.
But anyway, so Ever After, I think it might be kind of a more general fairy tale world, and then there might be like linking fairy tale worlds around it. So Wonderland is one of them. So the Evil Queen wanted to take over all the fairy tale realms, and she started with Wonderland. So she put the curse in Wonderland, and some people were able to flee. The other people got trapped. The ones who were able to flee were the Wonderland characters who are at the school in the beginning, in Ever After High. And then three of like I guess they're bigger characters in the overall series. It was the principal of Ever After High, I forget his name. Some
Was
dude
it
named Grimm
Grimm?
after
I think
Grimm's
it was
fairy
supposed to be.
tales.
I thought it was supposed to be one of the brothers Grimm, but I wasn't sure.
Oh wait, you're right. No, the one with Brothers Grimm I think is one of the principals. There was another one I think called Giles, and another one, and I don't remember who it is. This is really informative. Sorry, whoever suggested this, and you're a really big fan. Anyway, they sealed her away into the mirror realm, which again, she's in all mirrors, all of them, which is kind of scary. It's
Isn't there a super villain that does that? What am I thinking of?
honestly, it reminds me of a villain from Sailor Moon or something.
I think there was like either a DC character or a Marvel character who is like travels through mirrors and is like uses mirrors as like a dimension.
Mm.
It's probably not like that. It probably just reminds me of that. I don't even remember who I'm remembering.
Yeah, this mirror travel is very. I feel like it's kind of a trope of its own.
Yeah. Well, it's a
Like,
trope in Wonderland.
well, yeah,
Through the looking
but I mean,
glass.
so many things have been inspired by mirrors and the thought of mirrors. I will say I did think it was kind of unique that she's connected to like all the mirrors. She can go to anyone. I guess that would explain how maybe the evil mirror works too, like how the evil mirror knows where Snow White is.
Mm.
But anyway, and so she got stuck in the mirror, and that's why Wonderland is separate. The only part I don't understand is why Apple White, who is Snow White's daughter, is so interested in this. That made no sense at all. Like, I want to talk about the mystery of Wonderland. Come to this club to talk about it. But I don't know. It's just kind of strange and contrived. It like her being there is never really explained. I don't know. Maybe if people watch the show, they can kind of explain why. I don't know.
It was one of those things where I didn't really understand it, so I just went with it. I was like, I felt like, I mean, obviously I'm not the target audience, so I was like, I guess this makes sense for a little kid. A little kid isn't going to care about why this secret meeting is called. I stopped trying to question all that stuff. Plus, I was half asleep, so
True. Like there were a few times where I was like, okay, a younger child isn't going to care about this. Like I got kind of, I one of the points where I did get kind of annoyed was when the books fell down to write out a secret
yes,
message for the limited,
yes.
and I was like, there's not enough books to write
Yeah,
out the
that
message
was
to
my
say something
exact
else.
thought.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? So, like, also, okay, say you can do this. Say it is spelling it out. Why are you putting like a weird riddle into it?
And that was my other thought. Like, why not
Yeah,
just tell them?
yeah. So that there are parts that are dumb, definitely, but there are parts that are imaginative and fun. Like I like that the hallways moved around. I think that's actually when I first started starting to like the Wonderland realm. I was like,
Uh-huh.
I think I'm starting to like how they do Wonderland. I think it's a unique interpretation.
There was enough stuff like that that I never felt fully annoyed. Like certain things annoyed me, aside from the fact that I was tired and falling asleep for part of it. Like the parts that maybe annoyed me were balanced out by the parts that I thought were imaginative.
Mm.
So it all came together to be just kind of meh, it's fine. Like no, I wouldn't like say, "Oh, this is amazing. You got to watch this." But I wouldn't say, "Oh, this is terrible. You shouldn't watch this." It's fine. It kind of balanced out for me.
It balanced out for me, but I'm a bit more positive towards it. I'm a
Yeah.
bit more, the
I,
imaginative parts were good.
yeah.
So overall, I did like it. But yeah, it's not perfect. I just thought of, I liked the first teacher who was a fish. And I can't remember what was said anymore, but she basically said a fish pun, and he's like, "You've learned all I had to teach you." And it was like right away. And I did crack up laughing.
I think at that part I just went, "What?" and then just kept watching.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, okay. I think that's hilarious. It was fishology or something, like philosophy.
Oh wait, yeah, I know what you're talking about. What was that?
I can't remember
Oh, I
what
can't
the
remember. I did think the word was creative, but I guess it wasn't enough for it to stick in my brain. I mean, I was
yeah
tired, so but
yeah
I do remember thinking that the word that the fish said was creative.
yeah. I don't know. I did like some of the concept of the classes, which were like silly and based off wordplay. I don't think any of them were like strangely they didn't really do any of the direct like fainting in coils kind of Lewis Carroll did.
I was kind of expecting them to do that, and
Yeah.
then they didn't.
But at the same time, I kind of get it though, because they're trying to do it more modern, and a lot of the references in Alice in Wonderland for that kind of stuff is more outdated.
Yeah.
Like laughter and grief would go over people, like kids' heads nowadays. They wouldn't get that as Latin and Greek. So I kind of get it. I do kind of wish they were able to fit in a lesson because they lesson from day to day somewhere, but it didn't fit with the story, so I get it. Maybe someone can answer this for me. Why is the white rabbit a rabbit, but his daughter is a human?
I wondered that too, and also, I wouldn't have noticed this except for the Ever After High fandom wiki, but there was Lion and the Unicorn children, but they looked like humans. But then the unicorn was in there, and it was a unicorn.
Maybe when they have kids, they're humans? I don't know.
I don't know. The unicorn child was just a girl with a horn, like a unicorn horn, but then her dad was an actual unicorn. I was like, okay, what? And then I was like, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
You just gotta go with the flow. Trying to think anything else I thought was clever. No, I can't. I can't really think. Sorry, I watched this like throughout several days. Just watch it whenever I'd watch episode when I had time.
I should have done that instead of trying to watch the whole thing when I was tired, but I was running out of days and I was like, I need to watch this. I need to get it done. I don't have time after this.
I wonder if that's why I warmed up to it. Was like because it was
Probably.
yeah.
You gave yourself more time.
Yeah, I came back with a fresher mind and more willing to accept weirdness, you
Yeah.
know. Anything else about the actual plot?
Nah, I don't really have much thought on the plot because, I mean, part of it I was tired and I didn't really understand what was going on for part
I
of
thought
it.
it was okay, so hear me out. It was stupid. But for the stupid measures they put themselves through, it was well done. Like we start from stupid already. So the Wonderland characters are trapped in ever after not trapped, sorry. They're not trapped. The Wonderland people are trapped. They escaped and they can't get back because of a boundary, whatever. And then we have the narrators have to tell them something's wrong, and Lizzie, the Queen of Hearts daughter, gets invited to her mom's birthday party, even though her mom knows that she can't get there, and Raven gets them in.
Wait, how did she invite her? I don't, because she's trapped in one world, and how did she invite her from the other world? Did that
Good
get explained?
question. Good question. Keep that question in mind for when we watch Descendants. Um, I guess technically that one might make a little bit more sense than this one, because this one's just like a full-on curse. So I don't know how it got through. And I don't know how the Queen of Hearts expected her daughter to come through, but obviously she's meant to be depicted as crazy, I guess. Dumb? I don't know. She kind of feels like a bit like the White Queen, but like as the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of well-meaning, but also a little ditzy. And they kind of made it out. I thought at first they were trying to say that the curse affected her to be more like to be that way, but then it doesn't seem like it's relieved after the curse is removed. So I guess that's just how she is. Anyway, so the Raven does something, they get there, and it's like, okay, that's all of that is stupid. They get there, they're forced to go to Wonderland High because they happen to be there on school day, and they have to graduate before they could go to the Queen's birthday party. That's also stupid. But once you get past those stupid plot points, it's actually not bad. So again, I like that they introduced the Joker character. I also kind of like that she was voted in as student body president, but then that also means she gets all these other roles of powers just because it's stupid.
That was one of the things where it was like, this is way they're taking high school way too seriously. Like having high school be its own government and then being the student body president means you have some sort of ultimate power over the students and faculty.
I thought it was interesting because it made me kind of wonder about the history of this world, where like something might have happened in the past. So student body president ended up getting these powers, and they just all ran with it because nobody abused it until now. And I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting to me because it made me wonder why in a storytelling sense. But obviously, I don't think they really wondered why. I don't think there is some dramatic backstory that they're going to do a prequel for. Um,
I was just gonna say, I think you're giving this more thought than they did when they came up with the idea.
I know, but I don't know why,
I
but I
do the
kind of
same
liked it.
thing, so
Yeah.
I didn't with this one, but I do in other things.
Yeah, sometimes that can really annoy me, but in this case, it didn't end up annoying me because I was just like, I don't know, it kind of gives this credence of there's an interesting backstory as to why this came about, but we're not going to explore that.
Yeah.
Though it kind of also just reminds me of real politics sometimes, where it's just complete BS for some reason, and nobody fixed it, and now it's biting you in the butt.
I guess
You
that
know,
is kind of apt.
yeah, I don't, I feel like that does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I didn't mind it, even though it was very quote unquote unrealistic.
Well, I wouldn't go into a show about fairy tale dolls looking for realism, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
I will say I actually got legitimately like ticked off when when their outfits changed, and I was like, "Stop selling me the new line."
As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, gotta sell a new doll.
Yeah, I was like, I don't. There's no reason for it. Like, ironically, there could have been a reason for them to dress up to go to the party, but no, it had to be as soon as they stepped in. Like, geez, I don't. That did really annoy me.
I don't think it annoyed me. I just thought it was funny because I was reminded, oh, yes, this is a doll commercial.
Yeah, I guess they were just like, oh, but if we did that, they'd only wear the outfits in like one episode. That can't do. They need to be advertising the whole show. But yeah, so that did annoy me. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Sleeping Beauty's daughter's also in here for no reason.
I didn't realize that until the end when she made some sort of a statement about being forced to sleep because it was her destiny or something. I was like, oh, wait, that's supposed to be Sleeping Beauty's daughter?
Yeah, I will also okay, I'm also gonna say the Storybook of Legends is stupid too.
That was the most MacGuffin that ever MacGuffin.
Yeah, I was like, do we have to? But also because I don't really think it makes sense. But again, I can acknowledge that I don't have the lore for this series. Maybe it makes more sense overall because I'm kind of like, how, all those things happen to their parents, so why or is it expected to happen to them too? But maybe it's like a namesake thing or a title kind of thing. It's just like it comes with the territory. But then I don't really know why they go through with it unless
Yeah,
they get
I don't
something
know.
from it. What do they get? I don't know. Powers? It's kind of dumb.
Sleeping powers.
Yeah. But again, ironically, this is a thing that kind of comes with Descendants as well. Like kind of this destiny versus free choice kind of thing. I will say Descendants deals with that better than this did. So point for Disney. But yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Can't you just your Joker become a queen? It's in the card rules. Just do that. You don't need the storybook of legends. It just felt really unneeded. So, oh yeah, I forget. Why did she have power over the chess piece, the red chess pieces? I missed that.
I have no idea.
Yeah. As soon as he took his helmet off, by the way, the red knight, I was just like, oh, he's the hot boy. Okay.
For some reason, all the boy voices annoyed me. They just didn't feel like teenage boys. I mean, they probably weren't. They were adult men. Like, no, but no one was the age that they were playing, but it just stood out more with the boys for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, boys in like this kind of like children's media, I don't know, they're not the focus. Let's just say that.
Oh no, no. The six main dolls were the focus. The
Yeah,
boys are the accessories.
I'm pretty sure right now, I'm deciding myself right now is I think what happened with the characters that were selected, they were probably the more popular characters and or the characters that the designers could think of fun Wonderland designs for the dolls.
Probably.
And that's who made it into Wonderland.
Yeah. Nobody wants the rabbit.
Yeah, I I don't think she's a popular character.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume not. I
Alistar, he's a boy. You can't dress him up.
why is his last name Wonderland?
Yeah, it's dumb. I don't know why they went with a boy instead of a girl too, but I guess some of these are gender bent a little bit because they're the kids. They're not meant to be the characters themselves.
The only character that was like fully gender bent was the Cheshire Cat, at least that I noticed, because the Cheshire Cat was
Yeah,
canonically a woman in this.
yeah, she was. You're right.
And she did not look like a cat. I think her daughter looked more cat-like than she did. She just had sharp teeth.
Is it me or did the Cheshire Cat seem like Eartha Kitt inspired, like Catwoman?
I
I
mean,
don't
you
know.
could be correct. I didn't think about that, but she did play Catwoman at one point, so maybe it was an
Yeah,
inspiration.
I don't know. It just felt very Eartha Kitt-esque. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought it was okay plot otherwise for like a kid show.
I thought it was overly convoluted and confusing, but I don't think a kid would care. I think it was fine for a kid show. For me, trying to analyze it while tired.
Yeah, I feel like it was okay with the limitations they had, though I will like I can acknowledge that those limitations they set it for themselves. But at the same time, it's the brand. It is Ever After High. Why are kids so obsessed with high school? It's not this cool, guys. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it was better than I thought.
I think it was probably exactly what I thought, but I didn't hate watching it, so maybe it was better than I thought.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen much worse in doing things for this show, so given the choice between something like this and that one 2010 football head Alice, I'd rather watch this.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it was probably good someone recommended this because I didn't realize how like Descendants it was, and we do mean to talk about that at some point.
Yeah. No, I'm glad somebody recommended this one because I wouldn't have seen this. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
know
me
this
neither.
existed. I don't think it was in any of the lists that I've found online. So
Honestly, I think anytime I might have come into contact with it, I might have just suppressed it. I
I think also the fact that it's not like fully an adaptation of Alice is probably why it's not included on any of the lists I normally go to find versions.
yeah,
Because this isn't like it takes place in Wonderland and has Wonderland characters, but it's not adapting the book.
yeah, like I can't even say it has Alice in it, technically.
It has her son whose last name is Wonderland for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think I like if I was still maintaining my list, I think I probably would have put this under inspiration because it's not really adapting
Yeah,
or nor is it like trying to be a sequel or anything. I guess technically it's trying to be a sequel.
may,
Oh, my
maybe
brain
in the
hurt.
loosest interpretation of the word sequel.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and I don't mind watching strange things if I get a good conversation out of it, like I've said before. So, yeah, I'm glad I watched it.
It was new for me, and I enjoyed it. There are worse Alice-related things in the world.
Yes, very much so. Oh, one thing I did want to say.
Oh yeah.
Why was the carpenter a living hammer?
You know what? I forgot about that. Why not?
I don't know. It's just a random observation. I was like, wait, that's the carpenter?
It's very creative.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
That would be funny if it's just the carpenter's son. And like, what? This hammer is your son? It's like, yeah, so?
I mean, if an actual unicorn can have a child who's a human with a horn, then an actual carpenter could have a child who's a living hammer man. Why not?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Why not?
I'm just going through the list of characters that were included just to see if there was anyone that I forgot to mention. Okay, apparently I thought they were talking about the Frog Footman, but they're not. There's a character named Hopper Croakington II, but it's a human boy. But apparently it was the Frog Prince in a different episode.
Uh,
I just like the name Hopper Croakington II. And it's a human boy.
I'm glad that amuses you. He could be part human, all right?
I mean, he's human on this. He was a frog apparently, so
Uh,
whatever. There's a character named Ginger Breadhouse. Okay. She's a human girl. Her name's Ginger Breadhouse.
Jin Bread House is a very respected family. I've heard of them, yeah.
Well, I think that's all I've got to say. I don't see any more funny names I can laugh at, so I think that's all we have to say about Ever After High, Way to Wonderland.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. Who would I recommend it for? To be honest, I don't think I would recommend it for like every Alice fan ever.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something, if you like kind of creative takes on Wonderland and you're looking for something a little bit different, and you think you might be able to handle a kid show that could get a little obnoxious sometimes, I say go for it. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is you don't want to watch it anymore. You stop. Try it out.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I would say try to get to the second episode if you can. I feel like the second one is where it starts to get interesting.
Yeah, it did improve.
Yeah.
Once I woke up and rewound it, it was better than when I fell asleep. Okay, I think that's about it. We'll be back in the future for something else, eventually Descendants, but I don't know when we'll get to that. We'll be back with more Wonderland something in the future. So until then, do you want to let people know where they can find you if they'd like more from you?
Sure. I'm Phantomwise on YouTube for Alice things, and Love Gifts of a Fairy Tale on YouTube for non-Alice things.
Okay, well, we'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Every Version Ever. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. My Linktree and all of our links will be in the description below. If you want more of my content, all my podcasts are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this show, check out one of the other podcasts or check out my Patreon for bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening and we'll see you next time.
Come along and pass through the looking glass into Wonderland.